I lost my dad to cancer. So for us, that was a turning point where it was like, how do you make people get conscious of their health before it gets too late? And that was the genesis.
How did you go about going from 30 to 20,000 offline stores?
Food should not be a punishment. People should buy the brand for taste and not buy the brand for health. Initially, I used to meet people, they said, I don't know, we use chia seeds. And then they would go back and say, hey, by the way, I just saw my kitchen, it's your brand. So they knew the product, but they did not know the brand.
Wow.
But eventually then as I started meeting more people, they said, oh, True Elements. And that gave us a big confidence saying now the brand can scale.
What final advice would you have on entrepreneurs trying to scale their company?
The first one will be stay curious. Always keep learning. Second is make sure that you admit your mistakes. And third is, I think, keep iterating based on this. Keep iterating based on whatever you find out. You will find your calling someday.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Payu's Let's Talk Scale. This is a show that focuses on companies that have scaled up in extremely difficult sectors, and we're talking to a bunch of founders and professionals that have helped make that happen. My name is Swapnil Kamath, and today we have with us Puru Gupta, who's the co-founder of True Elements. How are you, Puru?
Hi, Swapnil. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Puru, tell me a little about yourself to start with, and tell me about the genesis of True Elements.
So there are two of us who started this. I'm an army kid, did typical engineering, MBA, worked in IT for a few years, then worked in FMCG. I was with Procter & Gamble, and then quit and started something similar to what True Elements is. My co-founder, again, very similar background. We're related to each other, but we had certain fascinations over the journey of interacting with each other, and some of it included China, some of it included rural India. But overall, it was always something, especially in the food space. And then, I think 2008 is when we had a personal challenge. I lost my dad to cancer. And I think that's what triggered a big story for us saying, and being a North Indian, usually you have a feeling that, okay, when something goes wrong, then is when you get up, acha, theek hai, dayo dekhte hain. Otherwise, when you talk of health, people like, dekhi jayegi. That is how the attitude is.
Yeah.
So for us, that was a turning point where it was like, how do you make people get conscious of their health before it gets too late? And that was the genesis. We started with another venture called Healthy World, where we said rather than reinventing the wheel, why not just get the best brands, build a GTM around it, build it. But then we realized that eventually the brand is not yours, it's somebody else's. And that's how True Elements came in. It started in 2014 with the very premise that it's an 8-11-5 consumption occasion. So we said that breakfast and snacks are something that people are open to experimenting. Lunch and dinner are very personal. Lunch and dinner are something that you would not compromise, and it's very, very localized as well. So that was the first premise. The other premise was as a brand, we wanted to build something where trust is something people talk about, right? And healthy trust, these are very subjective things. So what we said is, what is inside the pack is what will be outside the pack. And that's something we have maintained. Saying, okay, if we are saying it has sugar, we will put it in the sugar. Rather than saying what are the FSSAI guidelines, we will stick to what we stand for. We were the first ones who talked about cranberries having sugar, many other things. But the whole premise was True Elements will be a brand that when you pick up the brand, good or bad, you will know right from the ingredient itself, from the pack itself, rather than just promising you something which you might not like, you might not sort of build in. At the same time, I think the final vector for us was product has to be tasty. Food should not be a punishment. People should buy the brand for taste and not buy the brand for health. Health is usually an afterthought. That if you buy something and वो tasty हो रहा है, बाद में आपको लगता है अच्छा healthy भी है चलो let's buy again. That was the premise. That's how True Elements sort of came.
But that's so interesting because it's so attached to a very personal story that you had. You guys probably started off as some kind of a niche, so to speak, right? Because you're talking about probably doing breakfast only and stuff like that. Was there some kind of tipping point for you that allowed you all to scale in some way?
Yes, I mean, see, it's always there's a very interesting book called Crossing the Chasm, right? So we've had our chasms as well. Every stage of growth, you realize that, okay, this was the first set of early adopters. Now what next? So for us, there have been at least 4 or 5 things I can count on.
Tell me a few of them, because that's very interesting for anybody that wants to scale.
I think the first thing that we realized was that when you're, and I'm using a digital analogy, but when your conversion percentages start staying consistent, even as you acquire more customers, you know that yes, people are biting something, right? People are buying into you. That was the first step for us, saying, okay, when we are reaching out to 20 people, 10 people are interested and 4 people are buying, and it is being consistent. Whether the 20 becomes 200, you still have a certain number. I think that was one big thing for us. The second thing that came in was that people also, people started talking about the brand without us being there. That was the first premise where we said, okay, now the brand is being built.
Got it.
There is a certain association with the brand outside the products. When you start, whatever the brand is, eventually it's the product first and then the brand, right? And then eventually you start growing into the brand and then the product.
Yeah.
When this switch happened, when people started talking, let's say our one of our top sellers is chia seeds, right, for weight loss. So when people used to, a lot of times initially I used to meet people, they said, I don't know, we use chia seeds. And then they would go back and say, hey, by the way, I just saw my kitchen, it's your brand. So they knew the product, but they did not know the brand.
Wow.
But eventually then as I started meeting more people, they said, oh, True Elements. Oh yeah, we use your seeds. This change is what made us believe that, okay, now the brand will scale because it's brand first and then the product. And so as we expanded into other portfolio, the brand promise became much more prominent, and that gave us a big, confidence saying now the brand can scale. There is something that will outlive us beyond a certain level.
Got it. That's so interesting. Tell me, for anybody who is in a similar space as you and now wants to scale up, right, to these 20,000 stores and is not from an FMCG background, right? What is the secret to doing that? What would be your 2 or 3 suggestions to you that if you want to go, to 20,000 offline stores, do 1, 2, 3? What are those 1, 2, 3?
So I think the first thing, or there's another external variable that is coming today, is that the GT stores have become smarter, right? They're also realizing that, hey, I'm paying rent for this store.
Yeah.
You're actually now renting out my shelf. So what are you giving about it? So it's not, if you go to any chains in Hyderabad, Delhi, all these guys are saying we are pseudo empties. The moment I, change my OTC to a self-serving store, now I am a pseudo empty, pay me display fees, right? So that becomes a challenge. So
that is so interesting, yeah.
And that's how things have evolved, right?
Yeah.
But how you do as a brand is, I think, the first thing. And when you go to a store today, the first thing the retailer asks you, what are you doing about the brand? How are you getting customers about it? Now, and we were talking about Rohit Sharma, right? Like for a long time, and as a brand, we also struggled. But whether Rohit Sharma impacts the brand or not, the fact that when you go to a store and give a story of Rohit Sharma right after World Cup, it just gives you a positive disposition towards the brand. Oh, okay, Rohit Sharma, fine, get it, right? So that, for me, if you ask me, if somebody has to start, I would suggest one of the biggest things is build the brand salience. What is the story behind a brand? If my seller goes to a store and says, sir, iska 2 piece दूं क्या आपको? It does not help, right? It's a transaction. What is the story behind that brand? And if the customer there is ready to accept the story. So, interestingly, 2-3 years back, the biggest benefit we had was most retailers were also our customers.
Most retailers? Okay.
Somebody had a weight problem, somebody had a diabetes problem, and their nutritionists or doctors had recommended True Elements. So the trust factor, nahi, aapka brand to acha hai. Aapka brand to sahi hai. So that gave us big confidence, saying the selling part is now it is more about commissions and margins and extra stuff that we are going to do. So that's the first thing I would say is don't undermine the brand building. Today, a lot of people, if I use a digital analogy, most people are focused on the bottom funnel piece. Where you go to a quick com, you get some visibility. That's a bottom funnel incentive. What's your middle funnel and top funnel? If you don't create brand, you will always struggle. That would be one of my biggest recommendations.
Got it. How big a role that branding yourself well or marketing yourself, being very, very conscious about that, how big a part that play in terms of you scaling up?
So, interestingly, Swapnil, I've met so many people.
Yeah.
The definition of what brand is varies with many people, right?
Yeah.
Some people, for them, the moment you say branding, they would say packaging is what is branding. Some people say branding, they would say, okay, what is the money that I'm spending?
Got it.
Some people use branding for just the stickers or the POS material or the collaterals that we share. That's not branding. I remember, I think a lot of people have talked about it. Brand is what people talk about you when you leave the room, right? Now, that is what is brand. Like I leave the store, but I remember something.
Got it.
What is that association?
Correct.
Now, technically, if you use Ehrenberg principle, it's like consumption occasions, right? When do I, or CEPs or category entry points, when do people think of you is when you realize that the brand is there. That's one piece, right? If I'm not relevant to you at all, whatever brand you put in, there is so much clutter in the market today, I will not give you attention. So that's something that I think is very important, saying, why does it matter to you? I think the biggest thing the brand that you have to build is, A, how is it relevant to me? And B, what do I remember of her? Very, very broadly.
So tell me those two things for your brand.
How is it relevant is the CEP, which is the 8 level 5, right? For us, the moment we said, and we did not promise health. We said, the moment I tell you we are healthy, the health is also very subjective.
Got it.
But what it helped was that when people picked our product, and again, the first, so we've evolved from healthy users who found our products tasty to tasty users who found our product healthy. Those are two different, right? So we used to call them active health seekers and passive health seekers. And most of us are passive health seekers. Baatein bahut karenge, but when we go to the store, we will buy the one that is tasty, right? Active health seekers are who will say, oh, I need this regimen, I need to have protein in the morning, I need to have a certain. So first set of users who came into True Elements were the active health seekers who knew the benefits of chia seeds, who knew the benefits of pumpkin seeds, who said, tell me the best quality that will give you. That was how and those are people who buy the product and then the brand. That's the piece or the story, right? The transition that happened to passive health seekers were the ones, so we had to evolve the product portfolio also. So we had something called a 7-in-1 mix or 9-in-1 mix. Those were the 6, because now people are saying, oh, I'm getting 7 things in 125 rupees. That's good deal. In that, once they read it, they like it, they'll say, oh, this has chia, this has pumpkin, this has this. So then there is a healthy afterthought. That's the piece that we started changing from a product portfolio. But from the narrative, all of it said was every time. So we made one big, challenging principle around 3 years back. We made our entire packaging black, right? So in the food category, black is not associated. North mein to humko itna gali padta tha, like, what kind of packaging is this? This is black. Black is the color of dustbin. No, a lot of that's typical North Indian. Right? So we said, no, this is how you would be, because what also helped was that it was disruptive with the store. You could identify, if there was a brand block, you could identify black it is, right? And the story we built behind it was black and white. Everything is black and white. There is no, shades of gray. It is all black and white. And that's the narrative that stayed with the user. Eventually, when they went back, they said, oh, black packaging, True Elements, black packaging, True Elements. So that consistency gave us some level of association. So when I say two parts, right? Why is it relevant? Whether you are a health person or a taste person. Health person, you sort of get into the whole health moving to taste. Taste person, you buy for taste and then you realize. And what you remember of the story is, hey, these guys are saying what they are doing and they are doing what they are saying. And it is now also being represented across different facets of the brand. Store, channel, packaging, everything. That consistency is what stayed with the user.
Got it. What surprised or shocked you about the health food industry?
Okay, so I think the biggest dichotomy is that, so when we started health, as you said, nobody cared about it. Like, I mean, I remember going to stores in Delhi, people, eating and sucking on their ice cream lolly and like, ye sab kya zarurat hai? Diabetes hoga, dekhi jayegi. Like, okay, what do you do about it, right? But now everything, including your clothes to undergarments to snacks, everything is healthy, right? But the shocker is health changes. Health is a very subjective definition. What is healthy for you might not be healthy for me. Healthy samosa is also being marketed as healthy today. Chia seeds, which are roasted, are also marketed as healthy, right? So I think the biggest shocker for me is health is become such a common adjective today that you use it anywhere you want it, and healthy sugar just sounds like an oxymoron, but the thing is there is it, right? So I think that's the biggest shocker for me. How do you say no longer you can say we are a healthy brand? People will laugh at you, right? True, again, at some point in time, True used to be saying, okay, there is true and false. Now there are 50 shades of gray, right? So what do you call true? I think the biggest challenge is right now in so much of clutter. What do you say? Hey guys, now, and imagine, the other thing is 50 guys are talking health, and the only way you will talk health is saying he's lying, I'm right. He's lying, I'm right. Everybody will say that. How do you then declutter yourself saying this is what we stand for? I think the biggest learning we've had in the last 1.5-2 years is stand for what you're talking, and just tell them, see, this is how the things are. And incidentally, and when as a founder, if I have to talk about from a shocker standpoint, I think the FSCA guidelines are also made for the top companies, right? That's the cohort. You don't have to mention anything less than 5%. So it's such an easy thing that I'll add chemicals, but I'll not talk about it. Or we said we will make it 100%. We'll not say majority is this. The food label guidelines started. That's thanks to Revan Food Farmer. I think that those are things that have started. People are getting more discerning about identifying. But the shocker still remains saying in that cluttered space, still you have varying degrees of understanding. Not everyone in the room will always be conversant about labels, right? I mean, in fact, if you see most of the stuff in the stores is still unbranded.
Of course.
वो तो label है ही नहीं. Then what do you do about it, right? So that's the challenge. You still, I think that's evolving. And now there is so much research about microplastics, about health. I mean, that's leading to cancer. Now that side of things is now attributing most of it to food. I mean, I read something this morning about immune systems or cancer, and most of it is now being alluded to food and nutrition that you take.
Tell us, I'm very inquisitive again about knowing quick delivery, which are the Zeptos, the Blinkits of the world, versus Amazon, right? Have you seen a change in consumer behavior when it comes to these two channels?
So again, QuickCom is new, QuickCom is evolving, QuickCom is growing very rapidly. I think the biggest thing that we have picked up is again going back to the share of wallet principle, right? Will certain channels stop existing? No, they will continue, right? The share of wallet will continue going. There was a lot of debate we had whether the users on QuickCom are the existing users of eCom or the GT stores, whatever. But we realized that our North Star metric is still NTB, which is new to brand users, right? We still maintain that. If any channel is giving me new customers, I'm more than happy, right? The difference that we've done is there's a certain definition we have internally, which is this channel a channel of distribution, channel of acquisition, or channel of discovery, right? So Amazon still remains a channel of discovery where so let's say when QuickCom happens, right? Very rarely, if you look at the sheer content of any product, Amazon has all the reviews, the content, you want to know more about it, you want to read the reviews, you want to see the product, you will still go to Amazon and say, "But dekh lete hain kya hai." Now, if that product is there, then I will probably go to a QuickCom and buy. That, okay, now let me just search for this product and buy. Whereas earlier, what used to happen was people used to go to stores. In the store, they would open the Amazon app and say, "Acha, kya bol rahe hain log iske bare mein? And is the rate better?" Then I will go. So people lost, the GT stores lost to Amazon because I remember doing it myself. If I like a book, I would rather go to Amazon and say, "What's the price of this book? Let me just," unless they are taking 2 days. In QuickCom for grocery specifically, the thing is obviously now it is more about making sure that there is consistency and delivery. And interestingly, the next evolution for QuickCom now is, earlier it used to be, so this, I think it's a myth that QuickCom is for impulse. It's not, right? People buy their monthly groceries also in QuickCom. It's just that, again, you reduce the friction, you make it easier for me, and you deliver it, it's fine. Now, if you see the 10-minute is also moving to 20, 25, 30, right? Most of the guys are now promising 30. Gone are the days of that immediate impulse. But I think the biggest thing is QuickCom and eCom will survive together. QuickCom is still not the content engine. QuickCom is a distribution engine. And very rarely I have seen brands struggle with this, confession that QuickCom is not your discovery engine, it's your distribution engine. The more you know, you get into 2,000 dark stores, doesn't matter if people don't even know you. We will just be lying there without being sold in a dark store. People need to know you to even find out about you. That's the piece I think will coexist with QuickCom and eCom.
That's very interesting. What final advice would you have overall on entrepreneurs trying to scale their companies? If you had to give anyone 3 pieces of advice, what would they be?
I think the biggest thing is we are all learners. We should never assume that we know the world. Even at 60, 65, if you keep thinking that now you know everything, it does not. The world is evolving. You have to evolve and iterate. So, the moment you have something very consistent, whatever frameworks you have, be ready to break it in next 6 months. Keep listening to customers, keep listening to people, and then come back and iterate. Don't hold it against your ego saying, "No, what if I admit?" I think my biggest, if I had to go back and summarize my last 10, 14 years, I think the biggest takeaway for me is I've been open enough to go back and tell my team, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, right? It's not easy to go back and say, sorry, you were wrong.
Yeah.
How can the boss be wrong? It is. I think the boss, if you are okay to admit, the rest of the guys are far more open to saying, yes, we made a mistake. So I think if I had to pick up 3 pieces of advice, the first one will be stay curious. Always keep learning. Second is make sure that you admit your mistakes. And third is, I think, keep iterating based on this. Keep iterating based on whatever you find out. You will find your calling someday.
That's very interesting. I think all of the 3 points that you mentioned are so important for entrepreneurs at any stage of their career, right? Being a learner, admitting to your mistakes and iterating based on what you actually get as feedback from both your employees, from your channel partners, from the final consumers. I think that's something which is very important. Puru, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I've learned quite a bit from you in this particular episode. I wish you all the best for all your future endeavors that you're going to take from this point onwards. I think you are one of the early pioneers in this space of healthy eating in some way. And now, of course, it's become a huge trend, but you're one of those people, along with your co-founders, that really started this particular trend. So I congratulate you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I'm looking forward to seeing all your next chapters of what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.